even though we obviously are keeping count, I'm not keeping count, if that makes sense. For me, it's another step along the road and another growing process of a band that's been very enjoyable. For me, just seeing the next step happen and the writing process just slowly smoothing out, or encountering new problems and sorting them and working our way around another record. It always feels like an achievement, and an exciting one at that. It's cool. As long as that feeling stays prevalent, I feel like I'll enjoy any album, whether it's the 10th one or the third one.
What's up, everybody? It's Keefy, and I'm back with another interview here on our channels. This is a pleasure to talk to Dudley of Dune. How are you doing today?
I'm pretty good, man. Pretty good. How are you?
I'm swell. It's a Friday. It's never really a bad one. Just doing the thing, doing the music journo thing. Voidkind is the new album coming out soon from Metal Blade Records. Third record for the band. A super exciting time. You guys have been promoting it heavily, releasing a couple of killer tracks and videos. But first things first, I always think about third albums in the arc of a band, and it's like I think it's a thing we made up, journalists in the music business. Like the third album's the important one. I mean, only if it's really important, like only
Yeah.
if the other two weren't already great. But I do feel like there's an extra importance on things in threes or anniversary things. So the band's been around for a minute, and now we have this new record, Voidkind. So, any thoughts on this moment before the record comes out?
I would just say I don't think, even though we obviously are keeping count, I'm not keeping count, if that makes sense. For me, it's another step along the road and another growing process of a band that's been very enjoyable. For me, just seeing the next step happen and the writing process just slowly smoothing out, or encountering new problems and sorting them and working our way around another record. It always feels like an achievement, and an exciting one at that. It's cool. I think as long as that feeling stays prevalent, I feel like I'll enjoy any album, whether it's the 10th one or the third one.
Right on. I also feel like Metal Blade is a record. They believe in artists. They trust the process, and I don't think they ever, from my recollection, I can't imagine a time when they ever pressured anybody like, "Hey, this next one's really important." They're all really important in this business, because we just live in a that kind of world. But
Yeah.
obviously, there's no static from them. Like, please do something. They would never mess with your process. They let you do what you do, right?
Yeah, definitely. And we kind of said from the beginning that we were not really looking to produce records in any set amount of time. Always respected how Tool write music, and we've always wrote music in a similar way, where we're going to wait till we're ready, and then when we're ready, it's going to happen. And also feeling like you need to grow in between records, and I think, and if you don't leave enough time between them, you can quite easily just write the same record again, you know what I mean? Or something that feels very, very similar. So all of us like to just take a bit of space, see where you're at, see what you're listening to. I mean, you know yourself, if you look at what you were listening to 3 years ago, there's a change. It's always a subtle change. Everyone's got their bank of music that they love, like the same artists they go back to. But for me, there's always this sort of adjustment where I'm going this way into folk music or country music or death metal or some black metal. I'm always kind of scoping around. And I think that's important for everyone that's writing records to do that before you start writing a new record. Make sure you're somewhere else.
Right on. That kind of sounds like my week of listening, like all the things,
Yeah.
all the different things that have come out, including your band. Out of curiosity, just because the last couple of years have been just a particular brand of dumpster fire in our lifetimes, what was the writing process like for the band? Was the band scattered at all? Were you able to write together in a room? Do you bring
Yeah.
ideas in and create that way? And then what was sort of the timeline like? Because you just had another record just a few years ago.
I think maybe the end of 2022, I would say. We had finished quite a big tour, and we were ready to just start writing new stuff. And we're thinking 2023 is the year to start getting in the room together. So we've got a practice place that's ours, that's local to most of the people in the band. Me, Victor, and Allan were now the guys with the guitars. Sometimes they're writing some stuff at home, usually just recording stuff through their laptop, just so I can get a listen to it before I get there. And then sometimes we just go in there completely free and ready to try something new. And really, man, it's a pardon me, it's an old school way to do it, and we like that. We went in the room, we stay in the room, and we don't come out until we're happy, kind of thing. And we've done that all the way through 2023, sometimes 6-7 hours in a day, just really in there hammering out the songs, and sometimes you hit a brick wall, and sometimes you have a complete epiphany, and these moments are what makes writing a record really, really worth it all. So it was quite a journey, but it was really fun. We got most of the bulk of the stuff done for going into a pre-production session. We done sort of mid to end last year, and then from there we added a little more, and then we always leave the songs a little bit unfinished when we go into the studio, because there's a magic that can happen in the studio. You're really in there and you're focused. Everyone's focused at once on the same goal. So sometimes something really special, most of the time, something really special happens. And we feel anyway, leaving room for that to happen is a important process for us. I don't think we'd ever go in there and just be like, this is the song, this is how we want it recorded, let's do it, kind of thing. It's nice to play around with them in the studio and have some great things come back for that.
Yeah, you have to have some room for some organic material to surface, or some spontaneity.
Yeah.
I think for me, one of the defining features of the record, obviously beside the tracks themselves and Victor with a ridiculously great performance, is I think there's a prominence on keyboards now, synths and keys, that I think has always been there, but is really to the front now. And I know there was some press material about maybe some production cues live now. Keyboards are a prominent part of the band,
Yeah.
full time. So talk about that for a second, because I think it's really interesting, and I think it really propels the album as
Yeah,
well.
we found that on the last record we played around with the synth a lot more than before, on Etamin Ienka. And songs like Towers, for example, have these huge big synth moments that finish the tracks. And they live, when you're playing them live, they feel absolutely excellent to play. So as a band, obviously, when everyone's kicking ass on the instruments, and when we're going for it live, it's always been fun. But when there's a synth that just boosts everything even more, it's something that we really enjoy when we're playing. So on this record, we were like, let's double down on and get it really popping off, and actually trying to write some synth parts prior to what was going on. And a big influence on that, there was a song that I really love, that was a part of the was a couple of songs. It was a part of just the kind of brainstorming that was going on before. There's a song by the Appleseed cast. I think it's called Time Destroyer. It's an excellent song, and it's super synth heavy, and it has a real lovely effect on the song. It's Appleseed cast, yeah, definitely.
Very underrated band right there.
Oh, very, very good band. And when I heard the song, I sent it to Victor, and I was like, man, the synths are just absolutely taking off on this song, and it sounds great. Time the Destroyer, yeah, that's the name of the track. Everyone check it out if you haven't listened. It's a cool track. And another song by The Ocean is the Oligocene track they've got. Is just these stuff like this, we're listening to it and going, I really like that. We want to take the synth a bit further into our music. And Max is on board now full time, and he's been a great asset to helping push that forward. Yeah, and it's been really cool.
I suspected you might be a fan of The Ocean,
Yeah.
label mates and bros. And one thing about keyboards, especially live, is they're always competing with guitars and cymbals on the drums for the sound,
Yeah.
right? So like live mix is very important, and I'm sure by now you obviously worked that out live before you went into the studio and wrote. with that in mind. So I imagine the new tracks are gonna just fly live.
Hoping so, yeah. We've done a couple of small tweaks just for stuff that we've learned from the past. A lot of the kind of in-house shows that are going to be indoors, looking to not really put too many microphones on my. Well, the microphones will still be there, the overheads for my cymbals, but they're really quite low in the mix because I'm hitting these cymbals pretty hard. I tend to break cymbals, which is not good for my bank balance, but it's a lot of fun, and that can obviously compete with the synth in such a way that it's not great for the sound. So we've tweaked our sound engineer Nico that comes on tour with us, Nico Prost. He's worked a way to just get that across really well, and that's mainly toning down the drums and me not hitting them too hard would probably help out. But yeah, there's been a couple of things we've sussed out that have just made the synth come through. But I mean, a lot of the time we're playing with synth leads, like proper leads that take over. So these sort of elements of the synth have been kind of made and so that they're cutting through. We're not doing really low end. There is some low end, but not really low end leads. It's all high pitched leads that just take the track a little bit higher. And man, they're a lot of fun, especially when they come flying through your monitors and you hear them cutting through like that. It's really cool.
Nice. I was going to ask you if you had anything on on pads that you trigger yourself that are out
No.
extra drum. No.
I've been looking at doing it in the future.
Yep.
I'm at the moment I'm hitting a lot of things already. But I have definitely looked at how I could take some of the jobs off some of the guys that are also really busy. I mean, Victor's got a lot of stuff to press and a lot of things to focus on. So does Max. Max plays with 3 or 4 different keyboards, so and a pedal board. So it gets a bit crazy for them. But I love my acoustic drum kit that never fails me. It's never going to cut off and do something crazy. Sometimes you see the guys dealing with some technical issues with their electrics, and I think, oh, thank God, everything that I have to deal with is just either going to make a bang and boom or a crack, and that's it.
When you're a real band that can play instruments, you don't worry about the laptop battery dying. You know what I'm saying?
No.
At the same time, I will tell you this. You mentioned about hitting hard and breaking cymbals, and I hope your endorsement companies are still on board. They'll help you out. But what's interesting to me is I talked about this in another recent interview with a fellow drummer, and it was, I feel like we've transitioned into this time. We had this like big wave of drumming from the 90s to maybe the last 15 years where technicality and speed from like technical death metal and black metal and things like that kind of superseded power, because the drum it's a percussion instrument at heart, and I get like keeping the time and keeping up with fast riffs and things, but I think it's kind of, I don't want to say it's a lost art, but I don't see a lot of drummers that hit hard in any genre. Could be hardcore, could be progressive metal, could be anything. They don't, except for a handful of people, I don't see a lot of people actually hitting drums hard anymore. It's just like, let me make sure I got the tempo right, and if I have to sacrifice power. But I feel like the audience feels it differently,
Yeah, definitely. I mean, one of my favourite drummers is Danny Carey, and if you watch him playing the drums, he's not hitting them lightly. And when he does hit them lightly, he does. But when it's time to go, he goes. And I mean, there's a similarity between me and Danny in a sense. I'm not using a click track. I'm not following any sort of click. Either does Tool. Tool play the music and they let it flow the way it flows, and the feelings that are being projected are in the music because they're real feelings. They're not programmed before the show, which is great for other bands that use it, but for us it doesn't need to be there. So that leans into keeping it as honest as possible. And usually for me as a drummer, I'm absolutely excited and ecstatic to be playing my drums in front of people who want to hear our music, and that makes me generally want to really project the drums as much as I can and get myself into the show, So it's kind of always been my style. But I mean, these drummers I've loved from day one are all powerful drummers, Mario, Danny. I mean, even Rage Against the Machine's drummer, man, fucking just takes off. Watch him playing Bulls on Parade live. It's just like, fuck yes, man. It's cool. I really like it. That's the style I go down.
Brad Wilk, no wonder Black Sabbath had him tour with them and write a record with them because
Totally.
he can bring it. Yeah, Danny just gave a fabulous interview here in the States to the YouTuber Rick Beato from their studio, which I don't really think, other than a couple of Instagram videos from Adam, you've ever seen Tool in their
Yeah.
studio. And he jumped on the the drum set he has that he plays in their studio where they record, like they create music, which is insane to me. And he said, yeah, they never play to a click. He could never play to a click. He's like, no, that would ruin it. Like we could
Yeah.
never. He's like, why would we? We wouldn't play to a click. It has to be live every night, which
Yeah.
I think is fascinating. Back to Voidkind. Again, I love that there's all these moments. There's a couple of shorter tracks that are interludes that help sort of glue the record together in spots. They're, just the creativity is so high on this record. It's really excellent, and I love this. Like, I'm an album person. I think you are too. I feel like
Yeah.
I buy albums that I want to listen to the whole album. Singles, I understand they serve a purpose for the industry and they help promote you. And a video was amazing, but like I really love a whole album, and I think you guys do too.
Yeah, I'm with you there, man. I mean, if I could write the rules, I wouldn't release a single. I would just release the album, you know. Even, I mean, again, sorry to keep going back there, but even when Tool released their first track before the album came out, I was just like, this is killing me. The context is gone. I need to hear the record. Not It didn't build excitement, and I know that that's going to happen with other people that are feeling the same way as me and you. It just builds a sort of fake narrative towards something, and then when you actually get the record, then you get to see what it's all about, you know. But I feel like, I mean, that's just me. I'm not saying everyone else has that same feeling. Some people really, really get into the singles, and then it leads them into the album, which is great as well. So I do understand a real focus on making the record feel like an album, something that's a full piece, like a full piece of music for us. I mean, we're all fans. Again, one of my favorite records is "Crack the Sky" by Mastodon, and it's just that album is an album, a complete album, and that's one of my favorite albums for that. You could listen to one song of that if you really wanted to, but if you had a spare hour and you decided to listen to one song, you're going to listen to the rest of the songs. It's just the way the album is, and that's our goal every time. Not to write a Crack the Sky, but to write something that wants to take you on the journey, and because again, not to sound like a cliche, but because it's a journey for us. It's always been a journey for us, and we try and put that in the music. And then live, I mean, it's the same thing, man. I want the live show has to. A lot of the times when we're writing a set list for the live show, we're trying to work out what works best. And you have to play some old songs. You have to play some. For me and for the guys, we're like, let's just play the album, start to front, start to finish, right through. That's the way we planned it, you know. But it doesn't always work that way, which is a shame.
Right on. I would love to get a full album performance of Voidkind. That would be amazing. And you never have to apologize. I am one of the biggest Tool fans. I'm the Tool fan all the memes are about. Like, I'm that guy. So like I am literally that human being. So
did you get a chance to see them live?
I have seen them many times live. I photographed the band. Actually, like I don't do concert photography anymore, but like my first big boy concert photography thing ever was like to photograph Tool in an arena. And it was one song, and it was Hooker with a Penis. So if you're gonna pick the shortest, you're gonna put a guy on the spot who's already like a deer in the headlights to try to shoot Tool, one of the hardest bands to really capture in an arena for 4 minutes when they have like 15-minute songs. Sometimes it was hard, but I persevered. I love the band. I'm a humongous fan, and I'm really actually I will just say randomly, I'm just kind of surprised they're touring so much still behind Fear Inoculum because I figured they were gonna like come back after the pandemic, do like a year or two and go, and they have stuff booked. Europe this summer. I hope you get to go, and I look forward to them. If they announce anything else for the States, I'll definitely go. And if they don't, they were just here. And if they don't, then I'll wait. Hopefully, they said not 14 years for the next records, maybe just a few. So
I think we're playing with them, not with them, but I think we're at the same festival as them. We're at Copenhagen, and I'm pretty sure we're going to stick around and watch them on the Sunday night. I've seen them indoors in Nottingham here, And it was the first time I'd seen them, and it was absolutely excellent. And then now at this time it's going to be outside, so I'm interested to see the difference, because I definitely notice a difference for us live to indoors.
Right, and they're a band, again, I know it varies from show to show. Their staging constantly changes, and I know the last couple of tours here in the States, when they were in arenas, they also had things projected on the floor under them, like lights, not just lights on them, but like visuals that like amounted to something from the floor up. So it was just like my head can't handle all this. So I just want to experience it and just enjoy. But yeah, we're lucky we lived in this time with this band. I felt like every show I saw the tour before Fear Inoculum, I was like, oh, this is it. Like, they're never coming back. I felt like it was over, and then they came back with the record, and it's been 5 years almost. 5 years in August, 4.5 years since Fear Inoculum, and they're still kind of out there, which is surprising to me, because I thought, again, maybe they would. Maynard has so many other things. Justin has another band or two now, so interesting stuff. Just for a last thing, you kind of helped me with my segue talking about Mastodon and Crack the Sky. Obviously, you're a fan of concept records. You've had 3 of them. Like I said, is there what kind of visual thing, beside the band themselves? What kind of visual things can we look forward to in the future for Voidkind live?
I'd like to say that we had anywhere near the money that for production that Tool had, but realistically, we're going to change up the light show a little bit from before, and then other than that, man, we're sticking to just making the band. I mean, trying to be as captivating live as we can be ourselves. Really, I mean, realistically, this one for me has got a lot more passionate vocals on Victor's part. That's going to just do a lot of that job itself. I mean, the end, we're playing Cobalt Sun Necropolis live, and I mean, the end of that is just it already feels like a sight to behold when we're playing it in the practice place. So I'm absolutely buzzing to play it live, really is. And I mean, a lot of the stuff has the energetic moments that I feel like are going to do the work for us when it comes to production, if that makes sense. Yourself, traveling in a van. We've got a van, we've got the crew, we've got limited space as it is. I mean, my drum kit's massive. Victor takes a proper high watt head. We've got proper gear with us, so no laptops, and the van gets pretty crowded as it is. So I mean, we had a couple of shows in the past where we took a light tech with us, and it was pretty cool. So for some special shows, we're definitely going to look into that. I think that's definitely on the cards.
Right on. Yeah. Again, I can't. Without Victor being here for me to gush on him, it's one of the best performances I've heard this year. Just his vocals on this record. The whole record's great, but like, he is leveled up considerably, and he already was excellent. Just for a last question, I love to end these with a wild card question. So of course I have to ask. It's very obvious, but I have to ask: did you see the new Dune movie, and what did you think of it?
I've not seen the new one. We, as a band, have all been trying to find a night where we're all free to get together to watch it. But a few of the guys have already seen it, and they loved it. I think there's a little bit of a writing liberty being taken that I've heard about. So, I mean, we're all big fans of the book, which is why we named the band that when we were first started out 10 years ago. And then we're all sci-fi fans, so I'm not over the moon about hearing about that, but hopefully the rest of it does itself. I don't know if you've seen the background. I've got a Dune big poster there. That's a movie poster. That's so I really did.
It's pretty great. It's pretty great. I figured it's still in theaters here in the States, and I saw it a third time, and it was still packed just recently. Nice. So they're still selling a lot of tickets. I think it's pretty wonderful. I knew the book. They weren't gonna, it's just like most movies never stay true to the original source material. Superhero movies and comic books, you can't always tell a apples to apples retelling. I read the books as a kid, so I love the first 3 books. I'm excited to know there will be a third movie. It's already going to be changed the story, so we'll see. But like, no spoilers. It's excellent. I loved it. It's stunning, and I think Timothée Chalamet we're gonna be talking about that guy for like the next 20 years as an actor, because he did a
Pretty cool.
phenomenal. He's so good, and he's so physical. Like you don't expect him. He's got kind of like a kind face, but like he's a very physical. Acts with his whole body, a whole performance emotionally. Phenomenal stuff. I should be reviewing films. I used to review films also. So maybe I should go back to that. Ghost Cult on film. Cool. Dudley, man, super cool talking to you. Thank you so much for sharing. You can nerd out with me about Tool anytime, pal. And or Mastodon or Gojira. And I'm really, really excited for everybody to hear this record. Voidkind is a banger. It's out on Metal Blade this next month. And later this month.
Yeah,
so, sorry, I forgot. We've been trying to do this interview. I was trying to like find a time that worked for me, not you, but like me and I was like, when will it work? When can I do one is the thing. So thank you very much for coming in tonight. And again, just all the best to you and the guys.
Thank you, man. I never caught your name. What's your name?
I'm Keefy. That's everybody calls me Keefy.
Keefy. Nice
Keith
to
or
meet
Keefy.
you, man.
Yeah, it's a pleasure, man. It's a pleasure. Thank you for hanging with Ghost Cult. We'll see you soon.
Yeah. See you later. Peace.
Peace out.